Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be this Olympic DX or LG DX number 4. It's a nice reel. I've already been through this reel, so I wanted to kind of give it a cleanup. It was in really, really nasty condition. So I went through and did a quick cleanup on it to get it ready. I didn't put any grease in it, so all I did was took it apart, cleaned it, and put it back together. So I'm going to show you guys how to take it apart. But I want to bring something up today. I am going to open up my Facebook group called Young Martin's Reels. It's on Facebook to anybody who would like to discuss these reels. And as I do each of these reels, I'm going to start posting them onto there. And the problem that I have with the comment section on YouTube is it makes it difficult for other people to see the comments. They actually have to go into that and open them up. Whereas anybody comments on Facebook, hey, if you've commented on there before, you'll see them and they'll kind of rotate through. So I'm inviting people to join me over on Young Martin's Reels. And people start, I have to keep a close eye on it. You'll have to give me a reason why you want to join. And all you really have to do is tell me that you're interested in seeing how reels are redone, and I'm content with that. If you start posting garbage or advertising, I will immediately delete you out of there. Young Martin's Reels on Facebook. I'm going to probably provide a link to it on here so that anybody who wants to come over and join me can do so. I've had 2 people on there for about the last year and a half, and I thank them for their service. They had helped to provide me information for Zebco reels, and one of them hasn't gotten back to me yet. The other one, Tommy Modisette, has done so. He said he would stay with the group, and that's fine. But yeah, if you'd like to join, send me a message over there, and we'll see. For now, let's go ahead and get started on this. I picked this up at a yard sale a couple weeks back for $10, the rod and the reel, and it looked really bad, but it's really nice looking now. The drag washers were completely froze up. One of them just deteriorated and fell into little pieces when I took it apart. We've got to replace this washer over here. I'm not sure what in the world they were doing with this. I think I'll have to find another screw. All I need to do is find one similar to this one here and replace this one. I think they put this washer in there because it's too, the screw is too long. I'm hoping that's the case, and hopefully I can find a new screw to go on there. Let's tell you what, let's go ahead while we're here and just to find out what's going on there and pull that out and see if there's any kind of giant hole behind that. I don't understand why they put this great big washer on here with all the sharp edges. So let's see what we find. Okay, that explains a lot. The post that this is supposed to screw to is broken away. So what they've done, they put a longer screw, but I don't think that's necessary. I think the screw will be fine if you get the right screw and put it in there. I'm hoping the original hole isn't stripped out, but yeah, there's still plenty of thread left in there even though the post is gone. You just got to be careful that you don't put the screw through too far, or it's going to end up running into the spool. You don't want that to happen. So let's go ahead and take the spool off. Make sure we're not screwing a screw down into. All right. Yeah, I think we just have the wrong threaded screw there. I will look and see if I can't find the right screw to go in that. And when we put this back, we'll put it back together with an appropriate screw. And that should take care of that. All right. Let's go ahead and pull the other side of this off. I already took this apart earlier, but I will show you how it goes back together. I'm thinking that I'm going to polish this roller. It's a little bit on the rough side. It's had some corrosion to it, and I don't want to cause a line to snap off, so I'm going to clean that up with my Dremel tool and polish it a bit. But for now, we're just going to put that together like so. All right. Now, The way that the handle comes off on this was a little unique. It caught me a little off guard. I was almost using a little too much force trying to get it to come off. But we've got our cap that covers the screw. That's normal, right? We see that often. All right. The next thing we had was another screw, or a screw that was supposed to hold the handle, right? Well, let's unscrew that screw. Now, you would assume that the handle's ready to come out, right? No, that's not true. This screw also has to come out. Okay. All right, now that that screws out, now the handle will come off. Okay, and this handle is a fold handle. It's folding style handle. You rotate this collar right here, and it allows you to fold the handle down like so. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put a little oil here on each point of the pivot, and we're going to put a little bit up inside here as best we can get it where that pivots and rotates. Okay, there we go. We're going to set that over to the side. I'm going to come back over here now, and we're going to remove the side plate. Now these, oftentimes when you do these reels, you see these screws and they're a combination Phillips and flathead. Well, these are not a combination Phillips flathead. If you look at it real close, the center of that is not a Phillips. It's a round hole, or maybe even a square hole, but a Phillips is definitely not going to go in there. So I used a regular common, and that's what we're going to take these out with. Okay, all three of these screws are identical. We're going to set them over to the side along with the side plate for this. And do not lose it. There is a shim washer, a plastic shim washer. It sits in the side plate. Okay, so don't lose that. I think it actually almost acts as a seal to help keep water out of the bearing. Okay, we're going to now remove the bearing and the main gear. The bearing, I did have to sand this a little bit on the end to get the bearing to come off, but that's been taken care of. I'll set that over to the side, and we inspect our main gear, and the main gear's in really good shape. Okay, nice heavy gear. Set that over to the side, and let's go ahead and remove this screw from the crosswind block. Move the axle shaft. Now we can remove the crosswind block and the crosswind gear. Okay, that's got all that out of there. Now we're going to remove this nut, and I believe that that's a 12 millimeter. And it was. I didn't put it back on real tight, guys. I left it so that we could get it off easy. Okay, we're going to slide this off. There's our rotor. Okay. That's working really nice, but sometimes we want to see what's inside, so let's go ahead. I haven't had this apart yet, so let's go ahead and take this apart, see what we have. This is a hammer bale or slam bale type of rig. It does not have a trip release. Okay, it's one of these scissor spring setups. All right, these are pretty easy to set. We're going to take this apart and go ahead and get the grease out of there. You know what? Well, let's go ahead, because it doesn't feel like there's any grit left in this at all. But let's go ahead. I'm going to put my thumb on this and go ahead and unscrew this lever. Okay, and we can take the lever spring out, and now that allows us to clean all this old grease out. Get it cleaner. All right, that brings us down to our pinion and our anti-reverse. Now this anti-reverse had me tripping for just a little while. First off, let's take a look at this clicker over here before we get to the anti-reverse. See this clicker? It's spring loaded on this side over here. Okay, and I talked and had a conversation with Chris for a while today as to what really is the purpose behind having this clicker. If you flip it into this position over here, you have no clicker. The clicker doesn't do anything. Okay, it moves it back out of the way so that it doesn't impact on this ratchet in here. Okay, otherwise it does impact it. All right, so, and as that ratchet goes around, it makes that click, click, click sound. That is totally independent of the anti-reverse over here. So the only thing I can figure is that if you're fishing and first off you like the sound of the click, you can flip it on. But otherwise, if you're fishing and you have it in anti-reverse override with this clicker on and the fish hits and the rotor starts to wind backwards, you're going to get an sound. So that's the only other reason I can see for it. But the thing I want to talk about right now is going to be this anti-reverse claw. And this thing is a little bit tricky. It took me a while to figure out how to put it back together. Okay, if you notice, if you look real careful, you'll see the tag end of a spring right here. Okay, that spring is connected to a spring that comes down, wraps around here, comes back down and wraps around this spring over here. Okay, and it will actually perform almost well enough without that secondary spring on there. But it performs very well anti-reverse wise if that spring is in there. Okay, so we're going to remove this screw and this washer, and then we're going to remove this arm. But when we do, we've got to remove this spring here off of the side of it like that, and then lift this up and out. That's your anti-reverse claw. All right, now with that disconnected, this piece can come out. Oops, sorry. This piece can come out along with both springs. See how the springs are attached right here together? Okay, this one has a loop that goes around it, like so, and that hooks right in there on that counterpoint right there, and that's where it stays. This other end comes around and hooks on the back side of that claw, like so. Best I can do it without it being in there, but I'll show you when we go to put it back. Okay, but that's, these two springs go on to here. Okay, and this is your anti-reverse cam. We'll set the claw over there, and now we're down to, we don't need to take this clicker off. We can flip that over and it's over out of the way. And now we're going to come in and take these three screws out. All right, that's got those three screws out. Now with those out, we can remove this bearing retainer and we can pull out the pinion. And that's pretty much got the reel disassembled. I'm going to take this assembly in and scrub it real quick. There's a bushing in here. I'm going to see if in my bearing kit, if I happen to have a bearing to replace this one with. This is my reel and I'm planning to keep it, so we'll see if I can figure out a way to replace that with a bearing instead of a bushing. It is a normal shape for a bearing, so I can do a one-for-one swap on that if I have one. All right, and if you wanted to take this out, well, let's go ahead and take it out. That'll make it easier to dry it good and to clean up underneath here. Okay, we're going to remove this screw from the handle, or from anti-reverse override handle. We're going to slide this out off of it, and it's probably never been off in all the years it's been here, so it's not going to want to just pop right off, I don't think. It's coming. It probably has a washer behind it. Well, that shaft shot right out, and so did the spring. That's why I didn't want to take it apart. I did not foresee that happening. Okay, I've got to find that spring, because it goes right there, and without it, anti-reverse override doesn't function. And I don't think I have a spare one of those, so I've got to find that. I'm going to go offline for a few minutes. All right, I wasn't able to find the original spring, but I was able to make a new spring to go in here. It's not exactly perfect, but it's pretty close. It'll do the job. So, like I've told you guys before, be careful with the springs. It's real easy to lose them. All right. So we're down to the point now. I'm not going to take this clicker apart because it's got 2 springs in it, and I don't want to do any worse than I've already done. So we're going to leave those alone, and we're going to scrub this up, get it cleaned up. This part. The rest of these have all been cleaned and ready to go. We're going to clean that and that and that. And I will be back momentarily and see if we can't get this all put back together. All right, after attempting to use this, or looking at this spring for a little bit, I went back and checked the video and found that the original spring actually only had 1 loop in it, and it was a thicker spring. So instead of making it 18 thousandths spring wire like this one, I went ahead and made it out of 21 thousandths. And I think I've got a better spring in there now. And I believe it's going to fit okay. But let's go ahead and put the handle on and see if we can get it to stay properly. And I think it's this longer one here. Okay. Let's go ahead and put that screw back in. You got to hold up the rod up this direction to keep it from popping out while you're screwing the screw in. There we go. All right, now we've got a functional spring. The only issue that I've got is it's going over this edge, and I'm not sure if that's going to fit past the rotor or not, if it's going to hit. We won't know until I get the pinion gear back in. If it is, I'll have to bring it out and adjust the bend on the end a little bit and see if we can't get that moved over. Okay, but that made a nice spring. All right, now let's go ahead and start working on putting the pinion back in. Okay, here's our pinion gear with our bearing. I've cleaned the bearing. Now we'll go ahead and grease the pinion. And we'll put a little bit right here where the bearing rides, although it doesn't really need it there. We'll go ahead and slide the bearing on. And let's go ahead and oil that bearing. And we'll oil it once again once we put it in. All right, slide the pinion in with the main bearing like so. And now we are ready to reinstall the bearing retainer right here. And I think I've got it upside down. I do. It's kind of curved from being installed. And so we'll flip it back the other way. There we go. That looks better. And let's get the screws back in. All right, that's got that back in. Now we're back to this setup here. Okay, remember these? Well, we're gonna blow this up a little bit so you can see. Okay, this spring has a loop on the end of it here. Okay, I don't know if you know where you can see that. Let's blow it up a little more. There we go. It's got a little loop on the end of it. The other end has a hook on the end of it, like so. Okay, and this end has a tag end on it. This tag end is going to go through here, like so. I got it backwards, I think. I think I put it through the wrong way. There we go. Goes in like that. Okay. then this piece is going to sit down over your pinion shaft like so. And now we're going to take, let's get this over here where it belongs, over by the anti-reverse mechanism, like so. And now this loop is going to sit down over top of this post right here. Then we're going to take this end over here, and see this this folded over tag end here? Well, that has to go on this side of this claw, and then that tag end goes into that hole, and then this whole thing comes back over here like so, and we're going to screw it in with this washer. Okay, so we got a washer that goes on top like so, and then in goes this screw. There we go. And now it's a shouldered screw, so it's only going to go down so far, and it's going to want to hook. All right, first off, let's go ahead and flip the anti-reverse into anti-reverse mode, which is like this. That takes the pressure off of the spring trying to push it over. Okay, now we'll go ahead and screw this down. Now it's going to hang when you get to that shoulder. That shoulder's going to hang on the washer, and it's probably going to also hang on the claw. So you got to get both of those worked around until they go up onto the shoulder. Okay, you'll know if you've got them on the shoulder because once you've tightened it down, this will still freely move. Okay, and now that's our anti-reverse, and it won't function properly until it's tightened all the way down. Okay, and this little lever here, yeah, goes right there like so. Okay, and then to go into override, it goes like that, and that'll pull the claw back away from it. Okay, and then there we go. It's a funky anti-reverse. I've never seen one like it before, and but it does work. All right, let's go ahead and put our rotor on and test that hypothesis. Also, we can test to see if that spring is rubbing. And it does not. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the nut back on. I take it back. The spring is rubbing. Here. Okay. It hits right over here. So I'm going to go ahead and have to go back and adjust that spring. Okay. Now that spring is on the inside. Just barely, but it is on the inside. Okay, let's put this back and see if we've got that taken care of. Okay, we're no longer rubbing. All right, now we're ready to put in the oscillation block. Let's go ahead and zoom back out now. I don't think we need to be zoomed in quite that far. Okay, let's go ahead and put some grease in the cavity and over the post where the oscillation block or crosswind block or washer crosswind gear goes. And put this on, slide it down, put the post all the way to the rear, put some grease in the slot for the crosswind block, and let's slide it down and make sure that that slot fits over that post that's all the way on the rear of that. Oh, before we do that, we missed something. Let's back up for just a second. There, we'll pull both those out, and we're going to put this, oh, let me see if I have a bearing for that. All right, since I do not have a replacement bearing, we're going to go ahead and still use the bushing. There's nothing wrong with this bushing. It's worked fine all these years, okay? But I was kind of hoping to do an upgrade there. There we go, put the oscillation block and the oscillation gear back in. Now, we can come back, and we're going to grease the main gear. And we're going to slide the main gear in, like so. Don't rotate it yet because we still haven't got our axle shaft in. Okay, we're going to take our axle shaft and oil it. Let's slip that in, rotate it around a little bit to spread the lubrication, and then make sure that when we get back here to the rear that the flat comes up so that it can slide inside the crosswind block. And you got to get it just right or it won't go in. And sometimes it takes a little bit of coaxing and a lift. There we go. Now we're going to put the screw in. We're going to line up that hole right there in the axle shaft. All right, we should be ready now to put the side bearing on. There we go. We're going to oil it. Slide on the case side plate. And we're going to install these 3 screws. All right, I know I told you I was going to go down and get the appropriate screw to go into this side over here. But what I found was that whoever did this has drilled it out and retapped it for this size screw. So this is going to have to be the appropriate screw for it. We just don't need that big washer on there, I don't believe. So it's going to go on like that, and I don't see a need for that washer. Okay, so let's go ahead. We'll put that in place, set it on, and shoot the screw in, and see if it works just fine without that washer. And it does. Okay, now we're going to come to this other side, and we've got to reinstall this arm along with this spring. Okay, and the long arm of this goes up into the arm, and the short one goes down here like so. Okay, so we'll set that one in place first, and we're going to come over here to this one, and we're going to put that tag end right there. See if you can see it. Okay, that little tag end right there is going to go into this little hole in this arm, and in the meantime I need to get this over out of the way. Okay, so we're going to set that into the hole on the arm like so, and we're going to rotate the arm around until it lines up with the hole like so, and then we're going to put this screw back in. And again, this is one of those things where you got to get the shoulder to go down over top. There we go. Down inside the arm. Now, did you notice as I tightened it down that the torsion picked up on the spring? Okay, I'm going to put my thumb over this so the spring can't shoot. See how it works? Okay, I'm going to flip it back like so, and now we're going to put this cover back on. right, slide the cover up underneath. And we might have to loosen that just a little bit to get it to go in, but it usually will slip right on in like so. Okay. Okay, we have one screw left. That's this one. It's going to go right here in this corner to hold this plate in. There we go. And the plate's up a little bit high. Let me loosen it back up just a little bit. I'll loosen the arm here a little bit, activate it a few times and see if that, yeah, that kind of popped it down where it belongs. Or I tried to. There, that got it in place. Go ahead and tighten the screw down. Tighten this screw down. And that should function beautifully, and it does. Now we've got this. We're going to take this apart. I'm going to try to clean this up a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and polish it with the Dremel tool, and I will be back to you in a minute once I've done that. It fits okay, but it's just, it feels rough to me, and I'm afraid a rough roller is going to cause the way I'll do that, the way I'm going to do that, I'm going to set that roller onto here, like so, and I'm going to put a polishing wheel onto the Dremel tool and buff this and see if I can't get it smoothed out. All right, that roller's nice and smooth now, and I'm going to come over here on this bale wire, and it's got a bit of roughness here. I'm going to hit that with a buffer as well and see if I can't smooth it out a little bit. All right, now we've gone from having a very coarse bale wire to a nice, smooth, polished bale wire. All right, let's put a little grease on the roller, slide the polished roller assembly on. It feels much better. Okay, it's got this washer on this end. It fits in there. Let's try to clean that out one more time. Like so. I'm gonna run my screwdriver around it. It's got a little bit of incrustation around the outside edge. Yeah, see that? Yeah, that was causing a little bit of roughness in the roller. So clean all that out. Clean it off one last time. Put the washer on. And we're going to put a little grease to hold that in place. Not going to hold it in place if I pull it off, is it? Okay, then we can set that back into place here, and we can put our screw back in. And now we have a roller that rolls again. All right, last but not least, well, not completely last, but just about last. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pop out the drag washers, and I'll show you what I did earlier. I already had these. These were completely frozen in place, so I dug them out earlier. And this spring has a lot of tension on it. And let's go ahead and knock these out. I replaced one of the drag washers that had completely disintegrated with the closest I had to being appropriate. And I'm going to go back one day. Since I plan to keep this reel, I'm going to go back and get a different drag washer for it here. But this was the closest I had at the time. And so the way this stacks up is we go with a drag washer, then we go in with this tension washer here, and it's going to go in with the wings pointing up like so. All right, next is going to be a keyed washer. Now there's I think one, yeah, this one's heavier than this one, so we're going to put the thin keyed washer on the bottom down here like so. And then we're going to put in another drag washer. And then we're going to come back with this eared washer. They call it the eared washer because it's got the two little ears on it. And we're going to put that in here so that the ears fit into these slots, like so. Put in one more drag washer and rise that hair there. There we go, one more drag washer. And then goes the last keyed washer. Now this is the really thick one. Okay, and then we're going to put the spring back in. Now if you want to lubricate those drag washers, you can with a little bit of grease. I chose to put these in dry because I'm going to go back and take them back out again once I get some different drag washers. So I'm not too worried about greasing them up right now. But if you were putting the originals back in, you might very well want to dry them or put grease on them. Okay. Put this down in there, make sure it goes into the groove, and it does. Let's go ahead, check our clicker down here. Clicker looks fine. Let's put a little dab of oil on it, not because it needs to be oiled so much for lubrication, but just to protect it in the event that it gets salt water on it or any water. Okay, we're gonna slide this down on here like so. There we go. And I wanted to double check, make sure that that screw, okay, that's why they put that washer on there. See how that screw is sticking out just slightly? They didn't want that screw to be able to hit this spool. So I'm gonna come back, and I believe I've got a washer sitting in here somewhere. There's a suitable washer. Okay, so let's take this washer back out, or this screw back out. This washer on, and let's put this back together. Now the washer's a little bit big for that to go in that hole, but it's a lot better than this super sharp jagged washer, and I'll see if I can't find a smaller washer that will actually fit down in there. But that did get us in. It is no longer protruding out through the side, sticking into the spool. Let's put that back on, and let's put the drag knob back on. Tighten that down. There we go. We're going to put the handle on now. And remember, we've got these weird screw setup. Okay, so we've got the double screw on this side. Put the first one in, get it started. Okay. Now the secondary screw goes in. And then the screw cap goes on over top, like so. Okay, we're in anti-reverse override. Let's go to anti-reverse. There we go. So remember I told you that thing does work. It does what it's supposed to do. Okay, if you wanted to fold down this handle now, I want to show you earlier, you can flip this over like that. Just rotate this thumb knob and the handle will fold down like that for storage. Okay, remove it. You just pop it right back up again. How about our drag? We got a really tight drag. Let's loosen that up just a little bit. Okay, we got our good drag. And here's that noiser maker. Turn that off, turn it on. And it doesn't matter whether you're in anti-reverse or not, it still makes that noise if you got it turned on. All right, there you have the Olympic LG DX number 4. I believe that's a saltwater reel. I plan to actually put this one into use on my boat, I think. I'm not positive about that, but I am planning to keep it. I like this reel. It's heavy, though. It's a very heavy reel. So, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what it is you didn't like about the video. And for now, that's Rick Stivers of Young Martin's Reels, signing out.